Alright, I've arrived at old US 131 campground. So I'm going to be looking for a good spot to set up before I hit Fife Lake. So I'm starting an hour ahead of yesterday, which I like. Campsite right over here. Pretty private. This is old US 131 campground, and I'm literally right on the trail. So once I complete the loop, I'll be right back at my campsite. And you know, I do like backcountry, but also I'm happy to have a pool and campsite today. It'll be easier to sort my stuff for tomorrow when I will be doing backcountry again. All right, off we go. I've never been on this trail before, so I'll be curious to see what it has to offer. Manistee River. Fife Lake Trail and this campground, old 131, would be a great place if you're kayak camping, because the hike-in sites, there's a couple that are right on the water, and even if those were full, it would be a short portage to get to another campsite. So far, this trail has been very like pine heavy, and the ground is all pine needles. I'm loving that. Very different from Jordan River so far. Please tell me I get to walk over that. Probably not. So sadly, you don't get to go over the railroad trestle, but there is a rail crossing. I'm gonna keep this spot in mind for future reference. Looks like an awesome little camp spot. So it looks like from where I started at old US 131, within the first mile, you split from the North Country Trail and follow the orange blazes for the Fifle Lake Loop. Another railroad crossing at 4 miles in. I'm glad I started on this side of the trail. I'm hoping that the other side is a little more interesting. So far, there really hasn't been much of anything to note outside of that first mile. It's just been kind of real narrow single track that crosses a bunch of 2-track, and at some points you follow the 2-track. But yeah, we'll see what the other side of the trail has in store. So just over 4.5 miles, you come to M13, a major road crossing. Well, here's finally something a little different. I've come into this kind of more open, meadowy area. I like this. You know, a lot of this trail so far kind of reminds me of the high country pathway up in Pigeon River. This trail has been full of weird little surprises so far. You come up to an area that says private property, no trespassing, and then special dog training. I'm like, okay. But I almost turned around and then I seen an orange blaze. So, okay. I don't think they're doing any special dog training today. Yeah, there was like, hopefully the rest of the trail is like this, but there was a 6-mile stretch that was just completely flat ORV trails. And I'm not gonna lie, kind of sucked. Well, 7 3/4 of a mile, and I've come to my first real climb. Pretty steep, straight up. All right, I've reached the turning point, quite literally. Just under 13.5 miles to go. I'm at 8 miles right now. So 9 3/4 of a mile, you come to Michigan, US 131, busy road crossing. Yet another railroad crossing. Oh, this must be Spring Lake State Park. This is the other campground on the other end of the trail. So let's see. Well, here's Spring Lake. I'm not sure if you actually get to see Fife Lake on this trail though. So at mile 12 3/4, well, it started before then, but this whole section that starts around Conservation Drive is really nice. Definitely the best part of the trail so far. So I've made it past County Line Road. I'm on West Drive at 15.6 miles, just under 4 hours. So this section here follows along number 4 road for a little bit. And if you really wanted to, you could stay on number 4 road and it would cut off probably a mile or so if you really wanted to. But of course this keeps you out in the sun, and I'd rather be amongst the trees, that's for sure. All right, back on the North Country Trail. Finally, I was hoping I'd come across one of these. Smells like old wood. I filled out the registry and then had an internal debate about whether I would take the upper trail or lower trail. And the upper trail kind of just cuts straight across, and the lower trail is slightly longer with a downhill and an uphill, obviously. And then I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it. And I'm glad I did, because there's a little river, little stream. Plus, I'm just taking my time today as far as trail running goes. Taking in the scenery, trying not to get back to camp too early. Don't want to be there twiddling my thumbs. Hard to see it, but there's a little fire ring down here. And the only reason I looked this way is whoever recorded the all trails I'm going with for this trail. I could see that their track went down there. So there's kind of like this drop off and then another drop off that goes down to the Manistee River. This ledge is actually pretty high up. You probably can't see it. Yeah, I guess you can kind of see it through the trees there, the Manistee River. It's way down there. I'm currently at 18 and a half. Finally seen people. One older couple hiking together. And that is all of the humans I've seen today. So, I have mixed feelings about this trail. Basically, the majority of the west side of the trail is not very great. Kind of reminded me of if you took all of the most boring sections of the High Country Pathway or like the Waterloo Pinckney Trail and put them together. But the whole east side has been pretty lovely. Honestly, if you were doing the Triple Crown, I would almost suggest just doing an out and back on the east side and spare yourself. It's currently 4:27 and I'm at 5 hours and 28 minutes. And I've made it back. Now that felt like I went around the world. I'm really shocked. There is still nobody here. I'm sure some people will roll in tonight though. Oh man, I'm glad to be back. I'm going to stretch, and then I think I'm gonna head down to the Manistee River and stick my feet and legs in that water. All right, so if the water isn't too cold, I have my inflatable floaty, and I might just hang out right here. Although this looks, I can't tell how deep it is right here, and I'm not sure I want to find out the hard way. But there is this little ledge here I can sit on. Let's see. Oh, yep, that's cold. Oh, yeah, that looks pretty deep. Oh, bummer. I was really hoping to like soak my legs like I did yesterday. I suppose I could sit down, but I don't want to get my butt wet. I'll go search and see if I can find a shallow spot. But this river's got a pretty swift current, so I don't want to be like dunking my whole body in. All right, so you might be wondering why I'm driving right now. I just had the weirdest / creepiest thing I've ever had happen to me. And I don't really like camping completely alone. You know, it puts me a little on edge. But, you know, I hiked 21 and a half miles today and 20 miles yesterday. And I just got back to camp and soaked my feet in the water and got everything set up. And I was just about to start a fire and get dinner going. And I have this van pull up into my campsite. Mind you, I was the only one at the campsite. The old fella gets out and just kind of stands there staring at me. I'm like, okay. So I waved, and he made a joke about being the only one there. And then I made kind of a strange face, and he's like, well, you know, we can do whatever you want. You know, I'll do whatever you want to do. And then my face probably got real twisted, because then he was like, oh, you're looking kind of, I forget exactly what he said. But then he said, so you aren't the guy who's been texting me? I'm like, no, definitely not. He was like, because he said he'd be the only one here. And then he asked if I seen anyone else. And, I'm like, I didn't want to say that, yeah, I was the only one there. So I was just like, I seen an older couple, because I did see an older couple hiking on the trail earlier. And then he started explaining that he drove all the way up from some city. Anyways, it sounded like he thought he was trying to meet up. He thought he was meeting up with me for sex. Or something like that. You know, and to each their own, but when you're the only person in a campsite and something like that happens, no. So after that happened, I was really uncomfortable, and I started thinking, I'm like, maybe I should just book another campsite somewhere else. And then I seen him driving around the campsite for probably another 10 minutes. And then he just pulled up into the walk-in only campsite spot, which wasn't too far from where I was camped. So yeah, I decided to just book another campsite. And as I was pulling out, a black pickup truck pulled in and parked next to the van. Yeah, and you know, I don't care what they're doing. But I don't want to be in the campground when two people that don't know each other are meeting up from the internet and they're not camping. I don't know, man. I'm not, you understand, I'm not like making a judgment or anything, but that was real flippin' weird, man. And it made me really uncomfortable. And I just packed all my crap up. I didn't even pack my tent. It's just, I'm headed to the next campsite and I'm going to throw everything back together. I should have just enough sunlight to get my tent set back up and get dinner and fire going. Hopefully less creepy at the next campsite. Out! Well, I'm here at the new campsite. It's a little less rustic, a little less private. But I don't feel so by myself with whatever the hell that was going on. Tonight's meal, beef stroganoff with noodles. Not bad. Well, I'm gonna settle down, join the fire, eat some food, and shake off that very strange experience. So I just want to talk about that experience one more time. I like to recreate on weekdays when I know there's going to be less people. And even though I don't like camping completely by myself, like I still do it. I'm not going to let like stupid little fears stop me from doing things. And then some shit like that has to happen. And like, that whole experience, it was so off-putting that it almost took something away from me. Like, I don't know if I would ever camp on a weekday by myself at a place that's not strictly like backcountry or a hike-in where you have to hike several miles to get there. And that sucks. Like, I feel like I already know like the kind of crazy weird shit women have to go through, but that now I understand even more. Like, dude, people suck. I'm like, I'm out here just trying to enjoy myself in nature and being surrounded by the forest. I'm like getting out there and putting in the miles. And like something like that has to happen and like completely just killed the vibe for me. I'm like, tomorrow when I finish the Manistee River Trail, I wanted to celebrate with some beers and, you know, have a really good lineup of food ready. And, you know, now I kind of just want to do the Manistee River Trail and get in my car and go home. And I hate that. You know, we'll see how I feel tomorrow. But yeah, that whole experience is very off-putting and definitely kind of killed the vibe of this trip. Yeah, I need more friends that hike and backpack. That's all there is to it. It's just so hard as an adult to like line things up with people. You know, everyone has different days off, and you know, I work a swing shift where, you know, my weekend is usually in the middle of the week, and it's just really hard to line things up with other people, which is why I end up doing a lot of this kind of stuff by myself. Oh man, yeah, I'm like having a hard time shaking that gross feeling. I'm like feeling like that just kind of ruined the experience for me. But I'm still gonna get out there tomorrow morning, and I'm gonna finish up the Triple Crown, whether I go home afterwards or not. And that's all that really matters. Oh man, it makes me really look forward to winter backpacking, where I'm definitely not gonna run into people. Just take me away to some island. So tired of people, dude.